about some fantasy, some urban fantasy. Just a note about these books, they do all include adult scenes. Why didn't I just include them in my romance wrap-up, you might ask? Well, it's because I have a very particular, if rather subjective, definition of romance novels. I like to think, what is the main plot of this book? Is it about how two people ended up together, or is that a B storyline really just supporting a larger narrative? Now, not to say that romance novels don't also often have additional plot lines to them, but really you can usually tell pretty easily it's in support of the story of the relationship. Now, this isn't me passing judgment either, saying don't demean these stories by saying they're romance. If you've watched my videos for a while, you know I love romance. It's more of a frustration that if a woman writes a book that in any way mentions that two people are in a relationship, it's automatically a romance. When, say, Jim Butcher has his main character date someone in one of his books, you don't see people going around slapping fantasy romance labels on his books. Anyway, again, this is very subjective, and I'm sure I have, and I'm sure I will in the future, mistakenly shove a book into the wrong wrap-up, but I'm still fairly passionate about the theory, at least. Okay, after that, why don't we actually look at the books? Tangled Webs, the 6th book in the Black Jewels fantasy series by Anne Bishop. This is one of my favorite series. It can be deeply dark, but also just rich and wonderful. Based on the description, I should have loved this book. It's from one of my favorite series, and it's about a haunted house gone horribly, horribly wrong. Yes, please! This book was sweet, but less engaging than a book about a haunted house really should be. I love Anne Bishop, and I love the bits that were an insight into jeweled family life, but the haunted house itself fell flat. It had pacing problems which affected my ability to connect with the scary. Claimed by Shadow by Karen Chance, the 2nd book in the urban fantasy Cassandra Palmer series. Our main character has the ability to travel through time, so now we have adventures with vampires, mages, and the Fae through multiple time streams. I loved the middle half of this book. One scene made me a bit uneasy, so it got downgraded to just a like for me, but I am keenly interested to read more. Magic to the Bone, an urban fantasy by Devin Monk. It's set in a world where magic is real, but to use it you have to pay a price in physical pain, unless you offload that pain into another person instead. Our main character is a hound, not actually a dog. That's what they call their private detectives who track down people who illegally offload onto innocent people. I liked this. Great world building, loved the male lead. The ending had some pacing problems, but I'm looking forward to reading the 2nd book. So that's that. What do you think of my romance versus non-romance theory? Are there any books you've read that you've been like, why is this labeled romance?